Yo, it's ODB, our lifestyle podcast. This is issue 56 of Mini Truckin Magazine. We're going to flip through it now. Thank you if you've continued to come back here. If you haven't, please consider subscribing, leave a comment, make sure you like the video, it helps us out. So one of the first major changes with the magazine from a logo perspective was issue 1 to issue 2. If you listen to the recent episode of OLP 295, Alan Paradise was on, and Alan talked about who created the original Mini Truckin logo that basically started on issue 2 of the magazine. And of course, the first issue had its version of the Mini Truckin logo, but it wasn't the one that we all know and love. The key thing here is you'll see, and if you've never thought about this or noticed it before, you'll probably notice now the grid pattern is erased from existence. And it continues that way, I think, until the logo actually changes, again. So we'll talk about that in the future, but I wanted you guys to see we recently went through this one, issue 55, July 96. Now we're on issue 56, which is August 96. So let's jump right in. So you've got this guy named Tom, and he's got a killer truck. I recently mentioned she was in show coverage, and I said you will see her in the near future, and we do, so we'll look at that. This is the one cover for the club that's on the back glass, as well as that's noted in the feature, which was Synergy. So if you guys know anybody that was in that club, shout out to them. And you see here expanded coverage, Vegas and Daytona Beach. Really badass cover, indoor shoot. Sean Carlson, this was his 6th credited cover, and I'm constantly updating my database. I forgot to mention at the very end of this last one, and I wanted to throw this out there. You guys saw how I mentioned recently where the little write-up here on the table of contents won't always acknowledge, for whatever reason, both of the photographers. So it's key that I always look back at that and make sure I didn't miss anything when, I update, and refer back to my database. So that's important. And that's what, I continue to do every time I look back at these issues. But this one was shot by Sean Carlson, rest in peace. We've had Sean's brother on, and they've just got a wonderful family, and shout out to them. And Sean was a great contributor to this magazine. Now, Sean shoots, he technically gets credit for 3 more after this. Really, there's 2 more shoots that trucks. So we'll talk about those when we get to them. But of course, then on the 25th anniversary, I can't remember right now, but on one of the anniversary issues, that's when it was the 10th anniversary. He'll get credit for that one as well. So we'll talk about that. But basically, you got the Soundstream ad. Here you've got Scrub City and the table of contents. So let's dive in. Smooth and styled. You can see a pretty good amount of features. Events. Get a chance to see their Spring Break Nationals. So that would have been 96, of course, 3-4 month lead time, give or take, depending on the year. Second annual truck challenge. Look, Bill Cox returns to the Gatorland Water Park. Receiving construction credits for this month's cover truck is none other than Southgate, California's own Tom McWeeny. So McWeeny, I believe is how you say it, dressing up Sean Carlson's photo work of his yellow and chrome 93 Toyota is the breathtaking Michelle. Okay, and you see her name there. So the other thing too is it's a wheel and tire style guide. So I think some of you guys will get some flashbacks from this when we get to it. You can see the departments there, and we looked at kind of the events. If we zoom in here to, you got Stillwell, editorial director. We've talked about that recently, and then Shartsis. So enough with the housekeeping stuff. So here you have Shartsis, a fresh new look for Mini Truckin magazine. Kind of talks about, he says, notice anything different about this month's cover? You should. The logo has been updated thanks to our computer design brilliance of art director extraordinaire Joel Chadwick. And we'll see his name again tied to, I believe it's this cover feature. You can see here also the preview 96 Rodeo. And that was kind of cool because they actually used the entire magazine cover right there. Of course, still not, believe it or not, still not all in color. All in color is a pretty good ways away. And we will get to that in the future. It's like looking back at the past. Okay, so I've often said some of the best featured trucks of all time. Here you have a Mazda. And super clean, super clean. Still has that look and that vibe that could easily come and whip up at a show. Got the car phone in there. Super clean wheels. Perfect styling. Courtney shot this one. Sweet creation. Man, I need those wheels though. Shout out to Tim. He's always watching NC Florida, man. He's always sending me some gems. And he's like, no more Mazda talk. Now you got that 90 Mazda. You posted all Mazdas. All right, here's Mini Market. So Gators. I went on to end up buying it. My wife actually got me a pair of those early when we had first met. And I still have them. Pretty cool. They've been around a long time. And I think they've since been sold. Their brand is kind of different now. Here is a wheel. I think I recently mentioned American Racing. So that AR was always reminiscent to me of like a Boyd Coddington. I don't know, when I was younger, I just would see that and I would just think of like that style wheel. But I mean, pretty good branding from them at that time. You'll see those pop up here and there. I don't know how sought after the wheels are, but I do know they had some pretty cool designs. Weed Whacker. When Alan Paradise came on, it was pretty cool to hear some of the history. And I'll tie in another magazine that he had talked about when he shot, I think I said the first 5 of 8 covers. And then he had mentioned when he shot the Top Fun feature that had the jet airplane on it, or the fighter pilot plane, that I'll tie in the other magazine here in the near future that he talked about that was shot the same day. Here's Figment, and this truck is still around, which is pretty cool. Joe Grieve shot this coverage. Joe's long time, you've heard me say his name, long time contributor to our truck scene, military service, and has done wonders for shooting features and whatnot. Double take, so I remember reading this one over and over again. I thought how awesome it was that this truck was fairly new. 96 Toyota Tacoma shines as impressive truck to be reckoned with. So pretty cool stuff. And super clean. You know, back in this day, there's another Severed truck. Of course, you kind of see that in the tweed. And you see it right there. But back in these days, it was like to be able to have something this new laid out. I mean, still really, even now, but pretty cool stuff. See an old school wheel ad. Definitely picking up some subscribers, and it definitely helps if you guys can like view these all the way through. You know, if you're at work or you're just letting it play on your phone and you've got the data or the Wi-Fi connection. It definitely helps. I know some of them get a little longer. Some people say, hey, I want the content. Others go, you know, probably thinking, hey, it's maybe a little too long. I know, like, if it's late at night and I'm looking through my Apple TV, trying to find something to watch, if the different stuff I watch, you know, if I see an hour video, I'm kind of like, you know, I got to get to rest. Here's Mid-South, Truckin Nats 9.6. That graphic, though, on the bed. You know, sometimes I'll be like, you know, 30 minutes, an hour. But, you know, for all of you guys that kind of watch these, it helps. I mean, even if it's only for a few minutes, But if you can watch it all the way through, it helps us. I'm trying to get to that 4,000 minute watched number. So this might bring back some memories. I remember myself looking through these. I want to say they did them 2 or 3 times. So we'll find out as we go. And you can see some of the trucks there kind of in the background. One we just saw, the Isuzu, the Toyota. Lucky in Canada owns this one. This was the truck with Rhonda, is it Koch? K-O-C-H. She was on the Ballistic cover. She was also with that one. And then there's Shartsis' van. But this was a cool concept. If you could think about, it's hard to believe that you can do as much on your phone now with these different apps, right? And Photoshop and all that stuff. But like back in these days, like this is a good throwback photo probably, because when people were trying to figure out like what wheel did they want, this was like a realistic way to go, you know, I got a Toyota Tacoma, I got an S10, I got a Blazer, I got a Hardbody. Man, you know, I don't know what wheels I want. And what better way for someone to advertise their product? So August 96, right? So maybe your kind of wish list, the main Truckin staff. Kind of a cool little graphic over here. You know, you've got the diamond plate, and then you had this opportunity to take some scissors, which I cringe at now because this is such a pristine issue, and go cut these wheels out. And literally, if you had one of those bodies, right, I guess you could take also, if you didn't have one of those model trucks, you could then, you know, take a photo and cut it or whatever. But believe it or not, I mean, this was a viable option for people. There's Colorado Custom back when they were in Fort Collins, Colorado. Michael and team, they own the company now. You guys know I talk about Colorado Custom. I love those wheels, always have. And, you know, they really brand themselves like, hey, we're Colorado Customs, or Colorado Custom, but we're in California. You know, I'm sure they get that question all the time. There's the WEDS, W-E-D-S. Jason Redden, shout out to him. Of course, he loves those wheels, and he talks about them all the time, and I think they're awesome too. Here's the Rodeo. I always want to feel like I'm saying that wrong. You'll see more on those wheels in the future. Centerline, of course, we've talked a little bit about those. Kind of their fate. MHT, big wheel company. There's Alcoa. For those that didn't know, I remember sharing with my buddies back in the day, Alcoa stood for, and I guess it kind of still does, but they've been bought out. They merged several years ago. Aluminum Company of America. So AL was like aluminum, and then Company of America. I wanted to go by and get a photo at one of their headquarters up in the Pittsburgh area, but doing some research and trying to kind of figure out a good place to get the photo, I think that a lot of that stuff has been kind of taken down because of that big merger they did back in, I don't know if it was 2018. They still exist, but it's just not exactly what it used to be. I started to kind of do a whole write-up one time about Alcoa, and I went down this whole bunny trail of putting together facts and bullet pointed stuff and this and that. And I was like, and I just never finished it. I don't know. I was like, whatever. So California Beach Cruiser. And this truck, even by today's standards, is so clean. I think this dude, Tom, built a really awesome truck. You see there's Synergy, Lakewood Cali, Fighting Irish, all yellow, a little bit of green accents in there. Again, super clean. You'll see kind of, I think, a wheel that brings back, I'm sure, a lot of nostalgia for people. And you'll see Joel Chadwick's name there. We saw it earlier. The art director, I think it was his title. And then you see, of course, Sean Carlson shot this one. But pretty cool how, you know, they put the wheels over here. Nice little layout. You could tell, you know, again, pretty cool stuff. We'll see a few more photos, but here you go with the interior. I mean, to me, clean. Little center console in there, buckets. You've got the impressions in the tweeted floor mats. Of course, you got Alpine. You can tell from the head unit and some of the other ones we looked at there for a second. So boom, you get that third page of color photos, super clean, super duper fly. And you could see, even like if you look here at, not the lowest truck in the world. Now, granted, by those standards that, at that time, like this is a super awesome truck. I'd rock this truck any day. But, it was kind of cool because as trucks, like as body drops became so prevalent, you didn't see as many non-bagged or bodied trucks on the cover. So like this is really, an awesome cover. You see they're the Nieper N7s. The Niepers also came up the other day because I posted a photo of a wagon. The guy, believe it or not, 25 years ago, he chimed in and he said, man, it took me forever to pay off those Nieper wheels. That was a name that many of you guys know, Nieper. We saw the ads for years, and kind of an iconic wheel. Super clean, kind of rear three-quarter shot, maybe on a ladder. Kind of elevated a little bit. You see there, 17-inch Nieper N7s. Again, dude, shout out if the guy Tom watches this or any of his homies or whatever. Like, dude, super clean truck. Like one that's etched in my mind as a badass cover truck. So Heart Attack, Eric Copers, Kober 89. Blazer is as serious as a Heart Attack. And that style that I've talked about that's so famous, these were like a perfect canvas to do whatever you wanted. You could have 100 Blazers in a row and they're going to be different in terms of, the wheels, the offset, and you could say that about any truck, but I'm telling you, like, Blazers, like, there's so many different styles. So here is Dave Schilling of Dallas, Texas. This truck, I remember on, I believe, the old NC website. I used to go on that website all the time. We're talking like 98, 99, 2000, 2001, like around that era. And the Texas guys, they had a bunch of cool stuff on the website. I don't know if it was just, I think if they had it broken out by chapters or whatever, but I do remember for some reason this truck on there. There was the guy that had the gondolier that was body dropped. I brought that up one time to somebody. They're like, oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. And there was like a Suburban that was super low, and there was just a lot of cool stuff. But anyways, that's just a memory that popped up. Spring Slam and Jam 3. This says 107 degrees in Vegas. And you got some color photos. Now, I hate that Corey and team had to cancel this June Mini Truck Showdown. And I hope that it's going to be back next year. I know he's got Kern County Showdown, which is going to be next February. But it was kind of cool that, there was another run coming back to the area. We'll have more on that, hopefully, in the near future. Got to link up with Corey. It has helped doing these indoors. One, it's still hot outside. We've got a few more things we got to fix with the wiring, which I need to finish editing those videos and get caught up. But it definitely has helped. And then eventually we'll have better lighting out there in the garage shop, whatever you want to call it. That's old school. And we will keep these going. Kind of feels good to be past number 50. That was a good milestone. Like, we literally haven't missed an issue. And then the only other issue that we've jumped ahead while I'm looking at it is the time machine issue, because we launched Charles Armstrong's truck. I encourage you to go to ourlifestylepodcast.com and you can hit that drop down. We've got a lot of different categories, and you can check it out. Of course, that was part of the tire guide there. Here is the legacy of the Rodeo. These were super popular, and there's not many of these built in the scene. One comes to mind, Louisiana, super badass truck. Featured in Street Trucks. So here's Spring Break Nats. I remember I didn't go to this show religiously, but I remember I think this was the convention center. I forget exactly the name of it, but we went out there a handful of times, and I remember in Truckin, there was a photo of Jerry Lewis, and I think like he's talked about like that was like when him and Bill and maybe even Cope had shared the story when they had came to town back in 96, 97, 98, like in those years. And of course, a year from this is when Cope's van was shot in Daytona on the beach. And man, that thing had a ton of exposure. If you think about Mini Truckin cover, Auto Sound and Security cover, I think they ran it in Truckin. That was the famous blue Blaupont van. But a year after 96 and 97, that showed up there. Badass S10. I kept seeing more, so I kept going, wait, hold on. Spring brake Nats. That's stereo dough. I've talked about the truck that got me into Mini Truckin, which ironically enough was very similar to this truck. He had a regular cab truck, but I remember seeing it in person a couple times, and he had all Orion. I think it was a full walkthrough, but it had the big V shape in there. And you had all the speakers, and then behind it, when you open the topper, you could just see all of the amps and stuff, and it was freaking kick-ass. And I wish I could get more photos of that truck. The guy, Chris, my understanding, you know, he got into Lincolns, and I talked to him back last in 09. And then he sold his house down here, and last I heard, he moved to Tennessee. Kind of an off-the-grid kind of guy. Here, I talked about recently for the Cal Truck Jam ad. That's a non-color ad there. You got What's Up, all the different shows. This also helps me figure out show dates. It's part of the method to the madness. Here is Get Wired. So they always had, you know, some sort of tie-in to speaker or car audio, I should say. And then here's Jet Jam we recently saw, so we're getting closer. Of course, this being the issue for the summer, they're highly promoting. And you can see like ESPN, ESPN2. Kind of cool, probably the early infancy to ESPN eventually launching like the X Games and stuff, you know, doing their own events. Which I always enjoy watching the X Games. It seems like when the stuff comes on, like I never sit down to watch it, like, you know, figure out the times and all that. But man, I always, you know, if I catch it on TV or record it, I do always enjoy watching it. Looks like a Voyager van. Rode to high school in a year in one of those. My friend's mom would pick us up, I think in 9th grade. She had a white Voyager van. Mini Laughter. Straight out of Low Cash. Which ties into, what, CB4 movie, I think? Straight Out of Low Cash. Bass Thugs. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Bass Killer. Jokes. You see Courtney there on the hog. A lot of people know that he loved motorcycles. Here's a photo I got to send to Phil Fowler. We've had him on. Such a good guy. Low rollers, dude. Yeah, CB4 right here. Straight Out of Low Cash. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. If you didn't know, that's Chris Rock. I talked to DJ Mays tonight to do some audio for this upcoming show. This truck reminds me of his. Of course, he's got teal short. Man, these trucks, I'll have to go into it another day, but my dad wanted me to get a truck similar to this when I was 15, 16, and I was like, man, I don't know how to do anything, and I saw a truck around here when I was a kid, and it had a billet grill, and I was like, man, I want a billet grill, and I don't know how to do any of this stuff. And I guess I could have almost got an S10. It was also maroon, which wasn't my favorite color. I don't think it was red. Vague memories, but yeah. What could have been? I'll be talking about my first car and buying my S10 in the next month and a half. Got a big milestone coming on it, and I've been kind of storyboarding it together on what I want to do, and I'll get that out hopefully soon. Ho problems. About to wrap this one up, y'all. Stick with me to the end. So, we saw that it was just Sean Carlson, on the main layout. So Tom's Truck, Killer Truck, Salute, Synergy, Club, August 96. Stay on the rise, y'all. Hit you guys with another one hopefully in the next day or so. Keep on mini trucking. We got you. Peace.